Good morning, Mr. Jeff here with AKLA Hudson, the American Kenpo Leadership Academy. We teach martial arts and yoga here to families in Hudson, Massachusetts. Right now, our program is 100% virtual, so if you'd like to jump online and try it out and see how it can work for your family right out of your living room, go to karateforfree.com. That's karate, the number 4, free.com. Now today, I'm just continuing with our morning theme of wake up and warm up. And I've had a couple of requests from some of my students to add in a few things that they'd like to work on. So as you can see here, I made myself a bit of a box. Now what this is going to help me with is stepping around and turning in different directions while having a stable stance. Now for you non-martial arts students, that's really not what you're focusing on. Pretty much you're focusing on awareness of your surroundings, knowing where the corners of the room are, knowing where the front and the sides of the room are relative to where you're standing, right? So if I turn around, I can see all these directions. Now, if I'm getting into more of the hybrid training that we do, where we focus not really on a yoga mat that much, we focus mainly just on the floor, wherever our practice space is. In this case, I'm going to be focusing on how to distribute my weight in certain directions and settle into particular stances, or asanas as we call them in yoga or in the hybrid training as well. In this case, I want you to kind of do all of the stretching that we've done in the past few days before this. So you can come back to this video and then come to this exercise and see how it works for you. If you've never done martial arts before, doesn't matter. If you have, if you're one of our beginner students, some of this motion might look quite familiar to you. If you are an intermediate, advanced, black belt and above, this will absolutely look familiar to you, so pay attention because there's a little bit in here for each of you. And when we meet on Zoom during your classes and during your one-on-one sessions this week, we'll go over the different things that I did here, and we'll tie it into what you're working on and what your personal goals are for your next belt rank. Okay, so I'm going to start in the middle of my box here. And I always start in the attention, especially the kids, because this helps us focus in. We're only allowed to blink and breathe here. That's what we tell the kids. But the adults also practice that because we have modesty and we act like we're children when it's time to learn and focus and train. Now from here, I just bring my feet out into our natural stance. Again, this is like the yoga pose or asana, tadasana, with the feet under the hips rather than like our attention stands completely together. Now the first thing I'm gonna do here, now I'm gonna do this a couple of different ways. First way I'm gonna do it is how I want you to do it. You take your left foot and you step towards the item that you put down on the floor, whatever it is. It could be a pillow, it could be a book, something that's easy to see. And you'll notice that my foot is kind of lined up with it. And you can see my back foot, it's bent, pressing into the floor with the ball of the foot, and my knee is bent, excuse me. Now some of you may already recognize how I'm standing. When we were doing some of our warm-ups the other day, we ended up in this position. Okay? So as I step here, there I am. Once I feel that, now I'm just going to turn this way and then completely turn my foot, straighten the back leg, and face this item I have on the floor back here. And so we'll do that again. And it's always good to breathe in first so you can focus on the move. Once I'm there, I turn, and I turn. And I'm even gonna lean slightly. So just for the sole purpose of moving, you can see, even as I do the other side, how this is warming myself up. And I'm going right into these positions with a little bit of stretching. Okay. So try both sides. I step, I turn, and I turn. Then I go back to my spot. I step, I turn, and I lean. Now I'll face away from you so you can see what it looks like and maybe try it with me. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to step to my right, so I'm lined up with the item. So as you're doing it with me, you can look down and make sure you're doing it just like I am. Then as I turn, my back foot faces the item I put down across. My front foot is facing the TV, the laptop, the phone, whatever you're using to watch this today, and do it with me. Now I'll try the other side. I step here. Again, now you can see a back view of what this looks like. And then I turn, and I turn. And my whole shoulder leans with my hip and with my knee as it rotates. Okay? Now, I'm going to add my arms to that. Feel free to do this. With the first one, as I step, I'm just going to bring my arm up like so. Then I'm going to turn and just follow each movement. Then with this one, I'm going to bring my arms this way. Now my beginner students and my martial arts students who recognize this motion, now you know why you're practicing it. If you don't, just follow along with it and feel the symmetry in it. And I'll pause and I'll go slow so that way you can do each move as I'm doing it. You can see it for a split second before you do it. Now my yoga students, even when we're doing our traditional, say, warrior poses, and we're focusing on the traditional sense, the way that they do it, I always tell you, I give you a little secret from my hybrid training, how our foot placement is kind of key when we want to understand the transparency between some of these methods. So you can see how if we're doing what we did in the past few days, where I'm just turning and focusing on these stances, I can still focus on some of this motion as I'm doing it, just to help me kind of reach with what I'm doing. Okay. Just like if I'm standing here, okay, and I come into position with my hands like this, I could do it that way if I wanted to, or okay, I could just focus on the motion, right? As I'm moving and rotating the foot. So sometimes you'll feel that in the warrior poses too, as I get a little deeper into it when you see, right? So we won't be fixed in any particular position when we're doing an exercise like this, unless you decide you want to. If, let's say I do this one, and I turn, and this feels really nice, I want to hold this for a minute. Then maybe I want to change it up. I'll stay there and then focus. Maybe I'll plant my foot down after and I'll go back to it and I'll adjust. Okay. You make it customizable to how you're feeling, but proportionate to the level of training that you've dedicated yourself to, right? So here's another one. I'm going to start over here on my left side. I'm going to bring my arms up, and then I'm going to step out to what we call the horse stance, just like so. Then I'll bring my left foot to my right foot. Now I'm in front of this one. Now I'm going to take this foot and drag it back towards the corner one that I can see out of my eye. And I'm in this position again, a little bit wider this time, instead of closed. So I'm going to turn just like I did before. So I'm here. I go to a nice wide horse stance. And even in yoga, we practice it like this. Then I go here, back up to the attention or natural. Then I step back, then I turn, and I rotate. And this is the forward bow for those who are paying attention. Now let's add the hands. Again, I bring them up. And as I come down, nice and strong, coming straight down. Then I bring my hands here. I step behind myself and I turn. And then I turn. Again. Up. This is a good one to pause in too. Then I breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now on this next one, I'm going to start on the right side. And this time, I'm going to do the same thing, step out to a horse stance, and there's my arm. We're just automatically adding the hands to this one. However, if you need to, just start with the feet. And then when I add the hands, I go 1 and 2. Now I step this way and go towards the front corner. Starting here. Now let's just look at the feet again, and I'll do all 4 of those without my hands, because on the basic level, this is how you should practice it. Even if you're not into the martial arts training or the hybrid training, but you're a yoga student, and you want to learn more about how to apply the yoga concepts of balance and stability to your surroundings, right? You want to be able to watch out if someone's riding their bike on the sidewalk and you can sense them coming up from this side. So you need to move out of the way really quick, but turn around to make sure they're not going to run you over, right? There's all kinds of practical reasons for doing an exercise like this. So I encourage you to at least try the footwork today and see what you notice. All right, so starting from the middle, I step, I turn, and I turn. Now I go to the next side, I step, and I turn. I start from my left, nice wide, coming around, and I turn. Now going to this side, stepping nice and wide, coming to this side, now moving forward, and I turn. Now I'll face this way so you can do it with me. Starting from the middle, I step, look down at your feet, make sure they look like mine. Then I pivot and turn with the lean. If I let my arms hang, my center of gravity should be right here. Almost lined up with the knee. Almost. Now the next side, I step, pivot, and turn. Again, if I'm not leaning, my arms are way back here. If I'm leaning too much, they're going to be over here. I want them to be about halfway. And I shouldn't be able to see my toes if I look down. Okay, now the next one, I start here. I go wide with a horse. Bring my left foot to my right, slide it back towards the corner here, pivot, and turn. Then I start on the other side, Stepping out wide. Right foot comes to left. Bring it back towards the corner. And then turn. Okay, one last time. I'll do all 4 in both directions. And then feel free to come back to this video and just practice it. No matter what your training level is, always go back to the basics. Always go back to the basics. Because it's like going to a water well. Every time you get there, you're always filling your cup up. So make sure you empty it before you get there too, especially you black belt students. Okay, back in the middle. I'm going to step and turn like so. Then I'll do this one. Now I'll do this side. Okay, now one last piece of advice. Regardless of this maneuver exercise, anytime we're standing in this stance, which we call our neutral bow, and when we reference it in the yoga and the hybrid training, we call it the warrior. I want to make sure that I can take an item like this, something straight and long enough to put in between my feet, and make sure that I'm not standing on that item, which we'll call a line for today, right? I'm standing on opposite sides of the line, this way, but not this way, okay? And my toes are facing the inside corner from where my body is facing. So if my right foot's in front, my toes are facing the left corner. If my left foot is in front, my toes are facing the right corner. That's true no matter what direction I'm facing, just so you can get an idea. So if you have something like this, a pool noodle, a stick, a wooden sword, something that's not dangerous, I do my step, I make sure that I plant my foot appropriately so when I turn, I actually have space in between my front toe and my rear heel. If I don't, let's say I don't step enough, now, hey, they're all jammed up, okay? So we'll get into the dynamics of this, especially you advanced placement students who are working beyond black belt, okay? But that's our exercise for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to start from day 1. I will be doing these 7 days a week until this COVID-19 crisis is behind us. I am accepting new students virtual at this time with the Zoom Media app. Look that up, it's a great app. Go on our website, check us out, and I look forward to meeting you. Have a great day, everyone.